Sabihan ka na ba ever ng huwag kang makisama sa mga usapin ng mga matatanda?
Nako, Rap, lumaki akong naririnig yan. And it's so funny kasi ang dami na nagbago. Ngayon, in the dinner table, or wherever I am, hindi ko na naririnig yan.
Pero feeling ko kasi, baka nandun na tayo sa matatanda, Chay.
Yun yung truth.
Oo, but it's interesting, no? Kasi if we try to classify what we often talk about as, or classify as mga usapin ng mga matatanda, more often than not, they're matters of society, politics, economics, social issues.
You know, if that's the case, diba? So, eto nga ba yung usaping hindi dapat sinasamahan ng mga bata? This is Chai.
And Rap, and we welcome you to this month's episode of FRC's Church Alive entitled, Are You Woke? How to be in a world of woke youth today.
Let's welcome our guest. So our first guest is a BS Math graduate of University of the Philippines. She is a former head of IT security and the banking sector and now a stay-at-home mom to 3 boys. She is also a covenant member of Ang Ligayan ng Panginoon. Let us all welcome Miss Ces Kasilag. Hi, Miss Ces. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rap. Hi, Chai. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome, Mrs. Great to have you. We also have the Regional Coordinator for Metro Manila of Free Legal Assistance Group or FLAG. So our next guest graduated from UP Diliman, went on to study at the Columbia Law School, and became a lawyer by profession. Now he serves as a human rights advocate and law teacher, while also being one of the covenanted members and leaders in their community, ang Ligaya ng Panginoon. Let's all welcome Atty. Ted.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Atty.
Rap. Hi, Chai. Hi, Ces. Good morning. Happy to be here.
Good morning, Atty. Ted.
Yes, so diretso na tayo, no? Ano nga ba? Ito, Rap, kasali ka dito sa tatanungin ko, ah.
Oh,
ano
sige.
nga ba ang meaning ng woke?
Woke.
Nagamit
Di ba yun
mo na
yung
ba yan?
bagong gising lang?
Actually,
woke,
no?
kakagising lang, di ba?
Oh, it makes sense.
Past tense ng week. Okay. Tama ba?
How about si Attorney naman? Si Attorney, tapos si Miss Ces, let's ask. Attorney, what do you think?
Actually, tama yun. I think it came from that. It's a I think it's slang, no? That has become part of our common usage now. But I think, no, I remember that it came from the civil rights movement many years ago. And it's been used really by African Americans in the United States. So parang ang pinakamalapit na siguro yung translation of the word, no, sa atin is pagmumulat. More than paggising, but more pagmumulat. Pero yung woke really came from the word, as Rap said, no, woke up. So parang gising ka na ba? So ganun yung but it pertains, I think, more to the social realities of society at a particular time.
Ito po ba, Atty. Ted, yung Black Lives Matter movement? If I remember correctly, back in 2013, especially when there was this hashtag that boomed, yung hashtag Stay Woke, following the murder of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Like there was parang naging malaking social issue, of course, globally. And a lot of people were fighting for the rights of the African Americans because of the injustice that happened there.
I think naging prominent siya doon sa Black Lives Matter movement sa United States. But even before that, more particularly nga dun sa mga issues of discrimination, inequality, and so parang from an African American perspective na na siya, nag-evolve na siya to even to non-African American issues, no? Parang it talks about any form of injustice, discrimination. So pumasok na diyan yung gender politics, pumasok na diyan yung race, pumasok na yung any form of injustice. So parang pag sinabihan ka na ang woke mo naman, so parang you are socially relevant, socially conscious, socially aware. Alam mo yung nangyayari. Yung parang ganun yung ibig sabihin sa kanila.
Thank you, Atty. Ted.
Thank
Very
you.
buzzword yan ngayon talaga, no?
Hashtag na nga Tapos pero mas malalim pa siya. Yun yung nakakagulat doon. Kasi to us, diba, it's just an expression, it's a hashtag. But when you research into it and look into it deeper, it's actually a much bigger thing than we actually think. How about you, Miss Cess? Have you encountered this term woke, and what do you think about it?
Well, yes, no? I have a teenage son. So, nung first time kong narinig or nabasa yung woke, so I had to ask him, no? Sabi ko, anak, anong woke, no? But even before that, I kind of inferred already, no? Kasi makikita mo naman yung flow ng discussion on social media, tapos may magko-comment ng, wow, you're so woke, no? So I can infer that after this young person has said all of these things, parang may pinaglalaban siya and he feels very strongly about it, ano? Pero Chai and Rap, no? I also want, isingit ko na rin ha, I want to comment on what you said about wag kang sumingit sa usapin ng matatanda. You know kasi, no, if I may share my opinion on that, iba kasi ang access ng information ng panahon ko eh. Masasabihan ako ng ganun because I don't have access to information. Pero ngayon, our young people, they get information from everywhere. So, kaya, I guess, kaya sila nagiging woke or hashtag woke, di ba?
Yes, that's actually true. Kasi before, parang siguro they don't see na yung bata is that credible to actually know. And ngayon, baliktad na. Parang I would see my parents asking like my siblings or us, no? Parang ano ba yun? And then mas educated, mas maraming alam. Siguro nga kasi with the access of information and actually with the term woke, Attorney and Mrs. Tama and Rap, tama tayo sa iniisip natin na definition niya, no? And what we actually gain from our surroundings, because it's the definition of it from the dictionary is actually aware of and actively attentive to important facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justices.
Alam mo, let me just remark na napaka-interesting nung nasabi ni Mrs. about hindi na natin masyado naririnig yung statement na hindi ka dapat nakikisali sa mga usapin ng mga matatanda. Kasi it's very true. Like a lot of youth, all of us, have access to immediate information na, oo nga, no, kung tutuusin, kung tatandaan ko nung bata ako yung childhood memories ko, uwi ako from school, manonood ako ng 24 oras or TV Patrol pagpatak ng mga 6 p.m. And doon ko makukuha yung news or updates ko sa mga nagaganap sa country or wherever man, di ba? May mga showbiz, may mga showbiz updates pa nga doon, di ba? Pero ngayon, like, hindi mo na kailangan maghintay ng 6 p.m. to get all of that information. And I guess that also played a huge part in shaping the realities and tendencies of the youth today. So ako, di ba, I've mentioned that I'm a youth worker. I work with college students. And isa sa mga research na nabasa ko, this came from Barna Institute. Actually, a lot of Christian youth today, mainly in America, but I think very much applicable also here in the Philippines. Pero sabi nila, the Gen Zs right now, bulk of the youth are very much attuned to justice. There's that sense of justice, that it's very important to them to stand up for what they believe in, for what is right, to make public their beliefs and stance on issues. Nakatawa, hindi naman sa tinamaan ko, pero may immediate experience ako last night kasi kakagaling ko lang sa terrible experience of commute pauwi kagabi.
Oh no!
Like, oh my gosh, grabe talaga, wala akong mapilahan, kung saan ako tumakba para makakasakay ng bus, and it really took me so long. And I found myself that night, hindi po to scripted, pero na-realize ko lang na, nga, may episode tayo on woke culture today, this morning. Na I went to social media on Facebook, I saw a post that I related to, kasi may post ako nakita na picture ng kung gaano kagrabe yung situation ng commute natin sa Philippines. Crowds of people in the morning and sa gabi. So, nire-share ko siya, sharing my thoughts na dapat ganito kasi yung ginagawa ng gobyerno, dapat ganito, ganyan, etc. So, wala lang. I just found that very interesting how immediate information is, but also how immediate we can take part in whatever social issue there is. Kayo po ba, Attorney Ted and Ms. Ces, have you observed this kind of behavior, yung sinasabi nating wokeness, whether sa children man yan or sa mga naging students nyo? Any interesting stories perhaps?
Oo, ako na ang sasagot niyan kasi I have unahan ko na si Ted diyan, Kasi ako meron akong teenage son, no?
Mhm.
So we see it, I see it in his Facebook profile. He uses a frame to express something. Usually when there is a current issue, maski ano pa yan, even if it's just being involved or maybe drawing some kind of support, no? Like for example, pagka may bagyo, ganyan, no? Just to be aware that there's a particular area in the Philippines needing support, ganyan, ano? I think kasi yung pagiging woke, hindi lang naman ito sa pangongontra, no? Or making a stand, no? There's a tendency for the youth, alam mo, ang mga kabataan ito ang pinakamalakas na dissenter Malakas sila, they are very skilled, they are very noisy, you know? Pag sila nagsama-sama, maingay yan Kaya nung panahon namin ni Ted ang student movement, kaya nagsasucceed yan It's always been the youth being in the forefront of very major societal issues. Pag nag-ingay ang kabataan, ay matutuwa ka, maiinis ka, you know, I mean, it can really arouse a lot of sentiment or emotion. So even just to use a profile picture or a profile frame on Facebook, or come up with, use their artistic skills, their creative skills to
Yes.
come up with their stand, no? Kinabahan ako dun sa isang, my son made a drawing, no, at the height of the issue on the West Philippine Sea. Okay, kinabahan ako doon. Pero, if we will touch on that later on, alam naman nila yan yung consequences. May consequences yan. So, later on, maybe we can talk about that. Yung do we allow them, do we don't allow them. So, yun lang, yun ang ano ko dyan, take ko, no?
Yeah. Just to answer yung tanong ni Rap, and I agree with Ces that the youth really are are a voice to be reckoned with, no. At galing ako sa UP katulad ng marami, no. At yung pagiging woke, although hindi ginagamit yung term, no, at that time when I was in UP, parang way of life. Yung rally, yung protesta, yung ingay, yung dissent, no, yung pangongontra, critical discussion, kasama yan sa pagiging UP, no? Kasama yan sa pagiging well, if you would call it that, woke. At that time, we called it mulak, no? I entered UP a year before Ninoy Aquino was assassinated. I entered UP in 82. At that time, ang issue namin noon was tuition fee, tuition increases, no? At siguro hindi niyo ma-imagine kung magkano yung tuition ko noon, no? Yung tuition ko noon, 15 units, 400 pesos.
Oh my.
400 pesos.
Wow.
Total 'yon, 15 units 'yon, no?
Wow.
At dahil nga magtataas ng tuition, dahil nga ang UPI state-sponsored dapat yung education, naniniwala yung mga estudyante na dapat pananagutan ng gobyerno, no? Yung pag-fund ng tuition. And so, grabe yung mga rallies. And then of course, Ninoy Aquino was assassinated in 83. Grabe yung rally, no? And then people started to talk about the issues, no? This was during the dying days of the dictatorship, no? And so people started to talk about it kasi hindi pa uso yung social media noon, wala pang internet noon, no? So ang nangyayari, DGs, discussion groups, room to room, no? Ganon yung ginagawa, ganon yung pagmumulat, no? So yung mga hindi nakikialam sa issue, gusto lang mag-aaral, gusto lang maging summa cum laude ng UP, no? Minsan wala silang magawa kasi nandun sila sa kwarto, may papasok sa kwarto, magbibigay ng 3-minute teach-in, no? Magbibigay ng issue, bakit natin tinututulan to, bakit natin kailangan mag-rally, yung gano'n, ano? So anything from that to a more serious discussion of what are the issues of the day. Ganun yung experience ko of being exposed to this kind of culture, no? But of course nag-evolve na rin yan. And so of course we have to evolve as well. I teach in the law school, no, in UP, in Ateneo, and in LaSalle, the 3 law schools, and similar yung experiences, no? The students are very critical. They're very much in touch with issues, and because of the access that the internet gives them, no, they're very quick to do research. They're very quick to have information at their fingertips, as it were. And many of them are also very quick to form opinions and very quick to form positions, no? And so yung isang sigurong nakikita ko dahil sa pagiging woke, no, is yun nga, mas dumadami yung nag-aaral, mas dumadami yung nagiging interesado, mas dumadami rin nag-form ng opinion. But double-edged sword kasi din yan no? Kasi depende din kung anong binabasa mo. Depende rin kung ano yung pinapaniwalaan mo, no? Depende kasi so yun yung isang issue, no? And so but yes, definitely to answer Rap's question, yes, I've been exposed to that, no? Many times in my own classes, I also try to inject, even though in law school hindi naman to kinakailangan, I try to inject awareness, no? Why is it important to study this in relation to what's going on in society? So may pagmumulat din na nangyayari even in law classes, for example.
Napaka-direct po pala ng mga encounters nyo with woke youth, kumbaga, di ba? Like, I think, especially during our times na marami ring mga issues na lumalabas, I think, feeling ko rin, baka mas marami yung mga issues na napag-usapan because of the cascading of information, as our guests have emphasized, that really played a huge part in a lot of people, especially the youth, taking part in their opinions and stance on certain issues. Nakakita mo ba yung
Rap,
sarili
alam
mo,
mo.
Chai, sa mga sinabi na ating mga guests?
Alam mo, actually, nakikita ko yung contrast ng exposure nilang dalawa, ni Miss Ces and ni Attorney. Parang yung mas recent yung kay Miss Ces with his son, right? With yung artistic side, and then speaking about what their stance is through their art. And then si Attorney naman, makita natin yung picture ko talaga sa head ko, na-imagine ko yung dati na yung talagang very manual, pupunta ka room to room, kinakausap mo yung mga tao. Very contrasting pag nakikita mo yung ways. Pero it boils down to being woke, no? Parang ang amazing to see different pictures and different aspects ng involving yung same concept. Pero siguro babalik ako dun sa mga pictures na nakuha ko from Attorney, no? Parang yun nga yung may rally, of course. And syempre minsan very physical siya. Siguro my question there is, syempre may dangers to it. Is it wrong? Masama bang maging woke in that sense? How do we draw the line there?
I think this discretion is important. Education is also important, especially if we're talking about youth, no? I mean, I know Ces can relate to this because she's a parent. And yung importante kasi doon bago sila ma-expose, let's say, to social media, issues in social media because of the immediate access, no? It's important that sa unang eskwelahan, which is the family, pinag-uusapan yan, di ba? How do you process this? When you read something like this, how do you find out, no, kung tama o mali, dapat bang paniwalaan mo yan, or what do you do when you encounter something like this, no? What are the right things or wrong things to look at on the internet? Kasi pag sa labas na niya natutunan yan, malamang na yan, hindi na niya maintindihan kaagad kung anong gagawin niya, no? Ang una talagang magtuturo dun sa family, no, the smaller unit, the most basic unit, kasi pag armed ka na with that, then malinaw na, no, kahit na ano pang pumasok sa kanya, alam niya kung saan siya tumatayo kasi ang mahirap doon is kung hindi malinaw sa kanya tapos na-expose siya sa napakadaming influences, chances are magpipili yan ng anong gusto niya marinig so patsi-patsi, so it ends up in something that may not be correct, no, or that may not be very very right, no. And so I think the most important part here, no, is the education that starts with the family. It starts there, because once clear, no, sa mga bata, no, who become youth later on, no, what values they should be taking on, then whatever else they hear outside, they read outside, no, they encounter outside, malinaw sa kanila yon. So, yeah, if you talk about, for example, if you talk about issues of fairness, di ba? Hindi malalaman ng bata yan kung ano yung fair o anong hindi unless nalaman niya sa bahay, di ba? Kasi wala naman siya basis for knowing what's fair or not if you talk about issues of, justice or even mercy, hindi niya malalaman yan until masubukan niya sa bahay, di ba? So, kung wala siyang experience nun, pagdating sa labas, kung ano yung marinig niya, yun na yung kukunin niya. And if I may add one more, because of the current situation going on, no, na napakabilis nga ng access to information at medyo porous siya kasi dati nung panahon namin, no, ang nakukuha namin information printed, no, television, sabi nga ni Rap,
Yes.
no, merong layer of parang protection kasi merong nag-i-ensure kung ano yung lumalabas. Ngayon sa internet, kahit sino pwede maglabas And then, I'll add another eye, no? We've been talking about information. I'll add another eye, influencers, no? They are the new gatekeepers, no? So, depende ngayon kung sino yung pinapaniwalaan ng influencer. So, even that, no? How do you distinguish between a good influence and a bad influence? Sa bahay niya matutunan yan. Pag hindi niya nakuha yan sa bahay, delikado, no? Pag lumabas yan. So, to answer Chai's question, it's not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily wrong, no? But I think it may be dangerous kung hindi natin sila turuan at the start, no? Basic values, basic principles. How do you read this thing? How do you understand this? Doon na makukuha yan Once makuha na yan dyan, then kahit ano pang ibato niyan, kahit ano pang marinig niyan, kaya na i-process yan and kaya niya umabot sa tamang desisyon, no, about what she or he is reading outside.
Thank you for that, Attorney. I like what you said about nagsimula siya sa bahay Kasi, we've had so many episodes and of course, we center on family. And I always hear myself saying na it's important na okay yung bahay kasi para pag lumabas yung bata, kaya niya. No? So, I like what you said kasi we're on this totally different topic but bumabalik tayo dun sa concept of family and of course, yung foundations ng family. How about you, Mrs.?
Naku, medyo marami-rami akong idadagdag sa sinabi ni Ted, no? So,
I'm sure.
Ito kasing pagiging woke, ang sinasabi natin dito is that meron kang kaalaman, no, na kailangan mong may sabihin o may kailangan kang gawin, no? Alam mo yung pagiging woke naman kasi, nag-iba lang ng expression yan. Sabi nga ni Ted kanina, nung unang panahon, ito yung mga biruan namin. Naku, nasa UP ka. Nakapag-rally ka na ba? O parang hindi ka woke kapag di ka pa nag-join ng rally, di ba, Ted? Parang ganyan, no? O hindi ka naka-attend ng sit-in or ano ba yung mga yon? Yun nga, yung mga classroom na mga forum. Sa steps ng AS, may mga discussion dyan. Pag di ka umupo dun sa hagdan dun, parang wala kang pakialam. So, noong time na yon, ganun ang parang expression namin ng woke ka ba o hindi, no? Ngayon, merong woke, merong pa-woke, sinasabi nila, no? Yung parang ngayon naman, pag wala kang sinasabi on social media, parang hindi ka woke, no? Parang gano'n. So, anyway, my point is, nag-iba lang yung expression, Pero alam natin yung need, or at least we try, no? To teach, for example, as it starts in the family nga, we try to teach our children to have a stand on something. And yung hindi lang ba sila isisway, no? Kasi ganyan naman ang buhay, di ba? You survive when you try to have a very concrete stand on something, Yung wag ka lang madadala lang ng sabi nga ni Ted, anong narinig mo, anong sinabi sa'yo, yung squad mo, punta dito, punta doon, sabi yan, sabi to, susundin mo na lang, squad mo di ba? Parang ganyan. So, but anyway, so is it wrong to be woke? No. I don't think it's wrong, no. As I said, it's good to have a firm stand on something, no. Speaking of starting it in the family. So we engage our children, and sabi nga ni Ted, no, it begins with something that they can relate to, no. So alam nyo, ang pagiging woke, hindi naman to nangyayari ng pag-college ka na. Sabi ko nga civics grade 2, oh. Yung anak ko, isang anak ko, oh. The qualities of a good leader, oh. Grade 2 pa lang, inaaral na yan di ba? O, pagdating ng grade 4, ano ang mga karapatan? Hindi, grade 2 nga lang yan sinasabi na rin yan, grade 3. What are the rights of, the Filipinos or Filipino children, no? So they already, so these things they learn in school. So what we try to do lang is to process it and say, no, so in the greater society, no, ganito naman yan, no? Pero yung concepts, yung basic concepts, sabi nga ni Ted, ng fairness, justice, yung ano yung karapatan mo, no? Naaaral na nila yan as young as grade 2. So do we allow our kids to be woke? If it means allowing them, no, to be exposed to society, no, and the good and bad facets of it, and they're able to form their own opinions, no. Of course, under our guidance as parents, yes, definitely, no, definitely, it's good for kids to be woke, no. And kami, to what extent do we allow them, no, to participate, no, or to show they're being woke, no? We allow them to the extent that it doesn't endanger them, no? To the extent that their level of maturity can handle issues, no? So kaya as I said, no, we don't overwhelm them with Philippine sovereignty dapat ganito.
Grade 1 pa lang po.
We explain it in the context of, okay, son, so you have a house and you have a lot title and it says your territory, no, you can only live up to this part of the house. Therefore, anything outside of the house, is that yours? So that's how we try to explain, no, about territorial boundaries, maybe, no. So yun, and then do we allow them to comment on social media? Well, in the same way before na siguro my own mother and my own parents would ask me na, naku ha, wag kang sasali sa mga rally-rally, ganyan. So ngayon, being a parent, no, syempre medyo mas may freedom na sila. They have social media accounts. So dapat ba silang mag-comment? Should they comment? Do we allow them? Do we allow them to post, no? It's not a requirement, no? But they can do so provided that they have an understanding. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, provided that they have an understanding of the possible consequences of what they will say. Kaya under our guidance. So we'll say na, anak, if you say something like that, be prepared, to be contradicted, to be attacked, no? So we also tell them that social media, the SOCMED culture is very toxic, no? So yun, if they feel very strongly about a particular issue at hand, no? For as long as they are not exposed to unnecessary risks, no? We allow them to express their views.
That's nice, no? Kasi I think it's very important rin nowadays na we know how to filter the information we receive. Ano yan parang naisip ko habang nagsasalita si Mrs. Naisip ko lang yung term na woke responsibly. Kasi parang, di ba, you're woke, pero dapat alam mo kung paano tatayo kapag, kunyari may naging haters ka, di ba? O paano pag may nag-argue against you? I guess dun yung nagiging mahirap na part paglabas mo ng mundo. Okay, I think it's this, I think it's that. And then how do you handle it if the other person says otherwise?
That's true, Chai. Kasi I think when we talk about woke culture, inevitably, we talk about varying opinions and stands as well.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the realities that we need to understand how to handle. We came across this article on how wokeness can be quite divisive. So I'll just read this quote. It says, wokeness also implies that those not in the club are asleep, deluded, or wrong. This instant judgment forms a dividing line, forcing the other side to become defensive and further entrench the debate. So it seems the danger of wokeness is to unnecessarily spur on debates for the sake of debates na syempre doon na papasok yung mga back and forth na mga comments sa social media. Alam natin yun, di ba? Like, very toxic ang
Yes.
culture minsan ng mga pag-comment at pag-exchange ng views and opinions. And normally, like, nadidetermine yung quote-unquote winner sa mga ganong instances kung sino man mas
Nako.
maraming followers, maraming likes, or
Mm-mm.
malaki ang voice. And not necessarily someone who has a sound opinion. I think it varies, di ba? Case to case. But what can you say about that divisive part of wokeness? Like, maybe I'm interested to ask our guests, like, una, what's the value of hearing both sides involved whenever we have arguments or whenever we have stands? And how do we deal with opposing ideas?
Okay,
Go ahead.
ako naman, a very short answer lang, anything, this is what we tell our children, anything that goes overboard, no. Anything that will cause a fight, anything that will cause, yung anything that taunts, anything that, yun nga, that anything that goes overboard, wag yan, we say no. Just express your views and make sure it's a principled stand, make sure it's guided by truth. So that's what we tell them.
I think the use of wokeness, no, as Rap put it, and I think he used a very good word, culture, no, becomes very important, lalo na dun sa mga, well, sabi natin, millennials and Gen Z, no, the really younger set, no, because I think wokeness has become part of identity. It's become part of diba, identifying yourself with a group, diba? Ito yun I belong, diba? I belong. Kasi may opinion ako
Yes.
dito, I belong. But the danger of it is that because of, again, social media, because of being able to instantly express yourself, but also because of extremes, no? As Ces put it, anything overboard, no? Anything to the extreme is bad, no? Nangyayari, naging extremes na. So hindi na nakikinig, no? So for example, dati kasi ang pinag-uusapan when you're, woke, no, dati yung sa civil rights movement nga anti-discrimination movement is to say treat everyone the same way because you're all people, you're all human beings. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with saying everyone should be treated equally. But because of that, nagkaroon na ng, naging extremists yung positions, di ba? Na dito rin nag-arise yung cancellation, no? Cancel culture. Hindi ko napapasukan yan, baka gagawa kayo ng episode on that. Pero dito papasok yun na pag hindi ka kasama dito sa posisyon na to, kalaban ka, no? Kalaban ka. Hindi lang sa hindi ka woke, kalaban ka, no? And nangyari din kasi yun, lalo na sa United States, no? Mas extreme yung nangyayari doon kasi nga the divisions have been so glaring that wokeness has been used as an insult, no? Meaning napaka-woke mo. So ibig sabihin that's a bad thing, no? Kasi nga medyo extreme na yung positions So anything that whenever someone, for example, argues for racial rights or for gender rights or for socioeconomic fairness, for example, immediately ang branding sa'yo, you're so woke. And therefore, you're on that extreme. So, ang nangyayari kasi dapat dito yung discussion na sinasabi ni Rap, no? Hindi na nangyayari kasi batuhan na lang I belong to this side, you belong to this side, gera tayo, right? And part of it is to realize that you cannot have a decent discussion anymore over social media. Anti-social media na siya hindi na siya social media anti-social media na siya So, hindi nyo naabutan dati yung Friendster. Yung joke namin dati, di ba? Yung Friendster, kaibigan lang talaga yon di ba? Naging social media, naging Facebook na. Nawala na yung friends, di ba? Yung friends mo sa Facebook, hindi mo naman talaga kaibigan yun, di ba? Hindi lahat, di ba? Doon sa kaibigan mo sa Facebook ay talagang kaibigan mo. Hindi Nakilala mo lang yun sa Facebook. Unlike yung sa Friendster, talagang kaibigan mo siya. But what's my point here? Increasingly, you cannot have a civil discussion, a productive discussion over social media. So, nangyayari sa social media, people call out each other, people cancel each other, people fight each other without listening to each other. The best way really to still have a decent civil discussion is really in person, no? Or as close to it as you can get. So, on social media, for example, I've been asked, no, bakit hindi ka pumapatol dun sa mga troll? Ba't hindi ka sumasagot dun sa mga nangiinsulto sa'yo? Ba't hindi ka sumasagot dun sa nagko-comment dun sa mga comments mo? Because I do. I just don't post it publicly. Because if I post it publicly, ano magagawa nun, di ba? What I do is if I know the person, I reach out to the person privately. Either kung kalala ko talaga siya, I give that person a call. Or kung social media ko siya kaibigan, I message that person privately. I say, I disagree with what you said, but we can talk about it. And, I've had many discussions, debates even, arguments even, on privately, no? On Messenger, on Viber. Pero hindi ko na kailangan ilabas yon, di ba?
Mhm.
Kasi ano naman mapapala nun? Because once I call out the person, then defensive na siya eh, no? Under attack na rin siya. Magtataas na yung shields niya, magtataas na rin ang shields ko, ano pang pag-uusapan niyo, di ba? But if you're doing it privately and then leverage on, whatever relationship you have, then you can at least have a civil discussion and say, dito kasi ako nanggagaling. Hindi ko maintindihan kung saan ka nanggagaling. Pag sinabi naman niya, sabi ko, masasabi ko, okay, now I understand where you're coming from. I still disagree with you, but at least I understand where you're coming from,
Mhm.
right? And then you can have a civil discussion, right? And then relationships can actually be preserved.
Siguro if we go back to the main point of being woke, it really is to be aware of the issues that are happening and to stand for justice. And if in the process of wanting to be woke or expressing that you are divisive or you fight other people instead, parang what I'm hearing is I don't think it's worth it or it doesn't make sense. Especially if you put that with wanting to express what's right. And there's a lot of I agree with the experiences that were mentioned po, no, na pag nakikita mo nga sa comment section, ang comment section minsan ano yan eh, entertainment na rin po yan sa atin sa Pilipinas.
Nako.
Dahil sa mga exchanges, mga marites na nakagla-like pati, dumadagdag din sa mga opinions ng iba-ibang tao. And especially for wokeness, in the aspect of wokeness for us, is how very much intertwined ego and pride is with that. Na, syempre, I feel like when we express our opinions, we become very much vulnerable. And so, parang feeling natin if someone negates our opinion and thoughts, parang tayo na yung na-atake na. Ako na yun. When in fact, it's actually really just an argument and a discussion.
I like what the attorney said, yung pinoint out niya yung face-to-face aspect nun. Na kasi siguro parang nagiging less human kapag nasa comment section lang.
Ay,
And then,
totoo.
oo, diba?
Walang
And then,
consequences din, di ba?
oo, lalo na kung di mo naman
Kasi,
kilala or di mo close, diba?
oo.
Oo, so yung intention mo to actually talk to the person, discuss, yung goal mo is to understand. Hindi naman to change your mind, not necessarily, di ba? Parang pag nag-aaway, kailangan ba magbago yung utak ko? Hindi naman eh, pero I want to understand you, I want you to understand me as well. Kasi by that, at the end of the day, okay, hindi man tayo nag-arrive in the same thinking, pero kaya natin mag-coexist, di ba? Kaya
Yeah.
natin, okay, I understand this person. So, ang ganda lang ng aspect ng pagiging human dun sa picture na yun. No? Actually, I wanna highlight din, no, we encountered an article by Rachel Yu on #woke, the dangers and possibilities of social activism and woke washing. No? She says here, so it's kind of long, but bear with me, Ms. Cez and attorney. So it says here that woke activists have been criticized for cheapening the experience by performativity that is heightened by news outlets and social media platforms that condemn public figures and influencers for not being woke to the point of canceling them. But worst of all for some is that woke culture and social media activism as a whole instills an illusory sense of progress without much actual accomplishment. I want to highlight yung part na sinabi niya na illusory sense of progress without much accomplishment. I think, attorney, you were able to provide the picture there, no? Yung kina-cancel na yung mga tao kasi wala, kasi mali yung sinasabi mo and then blah, 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 opinion, blah, 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 blah. And then, tapos, ano nangyari nun, diba? Nag-away lang kayo at the end. Ano nagawa? Like, did you forward anything? Did you change anything? So, I think I wanna get your point on this. Maybe let's go with Miss Cess first and then attorney comes after.
Yeah, ito ba yung ibig niyong sabihin ng mema? Mema sabi lang?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm learning, I'm learning your language, no? Well, ako naman, in my experience, in our experience in the family, we always tell our children na you make a principled stand. No? It's not just being able to, sound, no? Yung just to sound, just to have something to say, no? Also, at the same time, I might be going ahead of you, no? Kasi puro family experiences ang share ko, no? Baka may mga tanong pa kayo about how we guide our children and all that. But kasi we always tell our children, you also respect the opinions of others, no? I think it was mentioned earlier na rin that your friends, your peers, no? We tell our children, they're coming from a particular environment. They're coming from a particular experience. So, for example, let's say, ninong pala sa kasal. Siyempre, meron pa palang mas matinding ties, kaya pala niya dinidefend. At the time when wala silang malapitan, yun palang politiko na yun ang nalapitan. I mean, yun ang sinasabi namin sa mga anak namin na kailangan maintindihan nyo rin kung saan sila nanggagaling, no? But interestingly, meron ding sinabi yung anak ko minsan na, sabi niya, mama, my friend, sabi niya sa akin, I don't understand my parents, sabi niya gano'n. I don't know why they would vote for this candidate. Double master's degree ang tatay ko eh.
What?
Tapos, mas magaling pa siya kung siya magpe-presidente.
Say what?
Anyway, so may mga ganong so you'll see yung parang meron palang ganon din no na yung sa family, children become woke even if magkaiba sila ng opinion or ng perspective ng kanilang mga magulang Tapos interesting 'yon na yung kabataan nakita pa niya na di ko maintindihan yun, Hindi ko maintindihan yung standard ng magulang ko dun sa isang, siguro iboboto niya, ang tali-talino ng tatay ko, parang ganyan. So, anyway, my point lang is, we always tell our children, you make a principled stand, hindi kayo kailangan makipag-away, hindi rin kayo dapat aawayin. But be prepared na awayin kayo. So always make a principled stand. Hindi lang ko kontra. Kailangan may punto ka, 1, 2, 3. Bakit mo
Yes.
sinabi ang point mo? Ganyan.
Yung sa akin naman, yung I from what I heard about from the article that you quoted, totoo yun eh. Kasi many times, not many times, social media is not the real world. Yun eh. Yun yung problema. Kasi nga, for example, you get 1,000 likes on a post, no? 1,000 likes can mean so many things, no? Someone may really actually truly agree with what you said and like what you posted. Or someone may just be your friend and didn't understand your post but wanted to support you by expressing it and so nag-like siya. Or someone may just have found it interesting and posted it, liked it, no? So, alam mo yung ganun, but because of the age we are in nga, where, the number of likes that you have, the number of loves, heart emoticons that you have in your post, is everything. Those are the metrics now eh. Kasi nga influencers, influence over social media is such a big thing now. And na-equate din yan with activism, social media activism. And which arose out of yung tinatawag nating woke culture, no? And so, yun na yung focus, no? Literally, I think there are there are young people who now want to aspire to be influencers when they grow up. No? Trabaho na siya. So parang gano'n, no? Kasi nakikita nila yun eh. All I need to do is, be able to take a selfie and then say something nice, no, or say something provocative, and then I'll just wait for my likes. But that can actually lead to something very, very dangerous, no? That people will do anything to get those likes, no? People will
Yeah.
jump over cliffs, people will do dangerous stunts, or people will take extreme positions just on social media just to get those likes, even though hindi siya naniniwala doon, no? And so ano ba yung danger doon? That's how for example troll culture came out, no?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Kaya dun lumabas yan eh, na merong willing na mag-post kahit hindi siya naniniwala doon sa pina-post niya para lang, magkaroon ng likes. At dahil doon sa likes na yun, nagkaroon siya ng trabaho. Binayaran siya for doing that, no? So, asan na ngayon yung katotohanan? Asan na ngayon yung paninindigan? Asan na ngayon yung pinapaniwalaan mo doon sa sinasabi mo? Kanina sinabi ni Rap, 'di ba, na when you post something, it's so personal. Dapat ganun yun eh, na pinag-isipan mo yun, ito yung pinaniniwalaan ko, ito yung pinanindigan ko, kaya ko pinopost to. Or kung isi-share ko, kasi I share this resonates with me, totoo to sa experience ko. Kasi yun yung katotohanan ko. Pero when you get to social media, that's not always what happens, di ba? Because some people really do it for the likes. Some people really
Yes.
do it for the impact or the influence, right? And so it's very simplistic. It's a very simplistic analysis, but that's also where the culture, no, the troll culture came out, no? Na merong willing talaga na mag-post lang kahit ano, yung mema nga na sinasabi ni Ces, no? May masabi lang, no? Yun lang talaga yun. Basta may ma-post lang. And that's part of the danger.
Actually, attorney, you touched on it, and si Ms. Says also, yung that aspect of the phenomenon, which is gaining fame. Yun yung mention ni Ms. Says na may mga mema. Na kasi at the end of the day, ang dami mong sinasabi, and then, wala. Saan napupunta yun? Nagawin nga kayo. That's it, diba? It's like a false sense of progress. Very illusion talaga siya. Parang kala mo may nangyari, may nagbago. Walang nagbago, nag-iba lang yung mood mo, nag-iba yung mood ng taong kinomentan mo, diba? So it's that tricky, I would say. Siguro doon ulit papasok yung aking woke responsibly. To our FRC fam out there, do not forget, no, na I'm pretty sure marami sa atin who have, maraming opinions, may mga research tayo, we watch the news every day, we know what's going on. Pero siguro maganda rin, no, parang kung gusto natin may mabago, isipin natin ano ba yung tamang paraan papunta dun sa pagbabago. So, to our woke FRC fam, comment down below your sentiments. What do you think about this episode? Yung mga share ni Mrs. and ni Attorney, I'm pretty sure ang dami yung mga parents, even the youth, no? Marami kayong feelings about this. So we'd love to hear them.
Yes. Wag lang po sana tayo mag-away-away sa comment section. Ha?
Yes.
Building tayong lahat as we hear one another's thoughts. What's very interesting for woke culture also is like how it wants to stand up and fight for the truth. But I think one very complex situation for this is that a lot of people, all of us, differ in terms of our perspective on truth. There's this analogy of an elephant, where blindfolded people, when we try to, for example, touch the elephant, it can be the case that we're actually touching different sides of the elephant. One can be seeing through their hands yung trunk or ears or yung legs ng elephant. And marami tayong masasabi about the elephant but only limited to kung ano yung na-experience natin, di ba? That can differ for sure. For someone who's there at the trunk, sabihin niya, hindi, yung elephant ganito eh. Nandun siya naman sa legs yung nakikita niya. So parang parang very interesting. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Ano nga po, especially this is also coming into our Christian perspective already, as having a basis also of what is true. How can we be more truthful in our approach of being woke, especially as we deal with different and varying opinions on truth?
Ako siguro because I'm a lawyer by training, no. Ang perception namin of truth is something that you can actually prove, right? Yun yung from a legal standpoint, it's what you can prove, right? That's the truth. But that's not really the absolute truth, right? Because maganda yung analogy mo, Rap, about the elephant, no? Because different lenses, no, will show you different aspects of the truth, no. And so when someone says, for example, that ito yung katotohanan kasi kaya kong patunayan ito, no. Pero ang titingnan din natin doon is ano yung integrity ng evidence, for example, that supposedly proves the truth. Because, for example, you can that the truth that can be proven can actually be proven by false evidence, by a perjured testimony, for example lang, no? So, kung yun lang ang katibayan natin, yun ang basis natin for saying something is true, then, it can also be dangerous, no? But I take your point, Rap, that yun nga, yung when we talk about the truth, no, we need to have a basis, we need to have a standard for saying that something is true. So, at the very least, siguro, truth is objective, no? It is something, well, that can be shown, no? It is something that has a basis for it, no? That cannot be controverted. Kasi at rock bottom, pwede mo kasing usisain hanggang palalim ng palalim, no? But if at rock bottom, wala ka nang masabi kasi talagang totoo yung lahat, then you say that's the truth, right? So when someone, makes a statement, no, at the very least, to find out the truth, find out what the basis of the statement is. And so, just to relate it to what we've been talking about in terms of, woke culture, expressing ourselves on social media, the tendency many times, no, of people, they see something on social media, they like it, they share it. Minsan hindi nila tinitingnan kung saan galing yung kung saan galing yung statement, no? Lalo na kung copy-copy lang, kung forward lang. Ang dali kaya gumawa ng magandang poster, 'di ba? dami nating naging instant expert sa Canva, 'di ba? During the pandemic kasi wala tayong magawa. So ang dami-dami, ang ganda-ganda, lagyan mo ng litrato ng tao, tapos lagyan mo ng magandang quote. Minsan, akalain nila, ay, siya nagsabi nun, no? Minsan hindi totoo yun eh. So, at the very least, find out. Sinabi pa talaga nito? Saan na sinabi to? Paano na sinabi to? Anong context ng pagkasabi nito? No? And to be siguro, to talk about the elephant in the room, for example, many times, no, may mga nakikita rin ako mga kaibigan nagpo-post ng scripture. Tapos, wrong context. Yung mag-post ng scripture. Kasi nga hindi binasa. Kasi nga, ganda pakinggan eh. Ang ganda pakinggan talaga. Pero, ay, sandali. Tama ba yung konteksto ng scripture na yon nung pagka-post niya? So, at the very least, let's find out, no? Let's do some basic research. Let's find out anong basis ng statement na yon. Saan nang galing yon, no? And then once we've satisfied ourselves, then we can maybe say, I agree with this, no? I agree with this statement. So maybe as part of being responsible in doing that, no? In expressing our views, sharing our views, no? Then at the very least we find out, no? Lalo na kung pinasa lang sa atin. Kasi very tempting yan eh, no? Lalo na, for example, if we want to be, popular, no? But what is true is not always popular. Yun yung problema dun eh, di ba? And many times that is contradictory to the culture that's going on, of influence, of being, being popular in social media, no? So many times we don't realize that the truth is not always popular. May mga posts ako minsan na walang nagla-like. Pero kasi totoo eh. Pero hindi siya maganda pakinggan eh, right? And so we've heard the cliche, no? The truth hurts. Many times it does. Many times it does, and no one likes to be hurt. No, being hurt is not popular, but many times it hurts, and many times it has to be said, right? And so that clashes with the culture that's going on now, no? Even the woke culture, because the woke culture many times leverages also on social activism, yung sinabi ni Chai kanina, no? Na which also leverages on popularity, no, on influence on the platform. And so, yun yung kailangan natin i-reconcile in finding out anong katotohanan sa isang bagay. At arriving at the truth, we need to have certain rock bottom, I think, principles or values, as it were, no? That beyond that, wala ka ng argument, no? Wala ka ng argument. So yun eh.
So respond again, woke responsibly.
Yes.
If I may also share something, sabi nga ni Ted, the truth is not always popular, or the truth is not always popular. I'm sure, Ted, you would agree with me. The popular choice is also not always the truth, no? The
Yes.
popular decision is also not always the truth. We already know that biblically, no? We know that the popular decision crucified our Savior. But we know our Christian beliefs will tell us Jesus was wrongly accused, no? So kami naman, no, in the family, I'll share from my experience. In the family, naririnig kasi yan, 'di ba, na you're entitled to your own opinion, you're not entitled to your own truth, sabi, no? So in the family kasi, in our family, may evolution kasi yan, ano? When the kids were younger, meron kaming because Papa said so, because Mama said so. Pero ngayon, no, like we have a teenage son, we have a preteen son, or we have two teenage sons, no? So soon after, it evolved already into, what do you think, anak? No? Kasi ang importante lang doon is we try to make sure that our children are able to feel secure, no, in expressing their opinions
Yeah.
and ideas, no. Yan sa amin yung importante. Medyo kahit it's a little warp off, no, but we try to ensure that in the family there will be no fear of your ideas, your opinions being dismissed or judged, no, by parents, no. Kaya we encourage them to just keep on asking and just keep saying also, no, what you want to say, no. Basta we have an atmosphere of respect, no. We practice respect. So
Ang ganda nun, Mrs. no? Kasi, kumbaga, if we were to go back to the start of our episode, ang narinig ko from you is, dapat kasama na kayo sa mga usapin ng mga matatanda. What do you think? Like, I want to know your thoughts. And I think that's very empowering, not just to be able to voice opinions from the youth, but to actually form opinions around the truth that we want to stand for. Like, it trains our minds towards that. And I think from our discussions, it's actually beneficial for our youth to be woke. It's beneficial for our families to train our children to form their own opinions and stand for it, and to be responsible for the consequences of whatever things they'll be vocal about. It's important for us to stand for what is true. And siguro yung question ko nila as we wrap up our episode and as our FRC fam continues to listen, is what would be a helpful guide or siguro kahit takeaway na lang for our episode for today as we talk about the context of our families. How do we guide our children to be woke for the truth or for what is right, for the things that we believe in, especially as Christians, as Catholics, and as households that will form those beliefs?
kami, we really are deciding, no, na we will take as parents active responsibility in guiding our children, no. If they were to be, woke, if they are to be woke, we'd rather that we engage in a healthy discussion in the family. So as I said earlier, we try to maintain an atmosphere of non-judgmental na atmosphere. Yung our children will not be afraid of expressing their opinions, no, their views, no. And the second thing is kami as parents, no, my husband and I, we guide our children by to be woke for the truth by being convinced of the truth ourselves, no, and not falling for fake news, no. So we guide them into find how to tell whether it is fake news, no. So what are the sources? When our son says something, we always ask, Where did you get that? What's your
Uh-huh.
information? Where did you get your information? What's your source? Who said that? By what authority? So mga ganyan. So we try to
Mm-mm.
ask that, no? And so and also we also infuse humor, no? Kasi alam mo pag
Yes.
the youth, yeah, the youth after a while pag masyado ng yung parang it's so big for them to comprehend na, no? Ano yan syempre they'll tune out, no? So, from time to time we try to infuse humor also, no? And lastly, I guess or two more things, no? We offer them choices or alternatives, no? To nudge them towards truthful information, no? And truthful choices. So, we give them alternatives. And it could also happen that they will have differing opinions with their siblings, no? Like our boys pa yan, no? Alam mo na, baka very opinionated, no? Oo. So, if siblings naman, no, if they have, no, kuya, I disagree with you. May nagganyan na, no?
Oo.
So what we do is we engage them and we allow them both airtime. So we pull back the sibling na medyo, wait, it's already bordering on bullying, no? Yung mga ganyan, no? So we try to make them also see na, that's already using your sibling power
Sibling
na
card.
ay kuya. So yung ganyan, no? So we force we try to pull back the sibling that might be bullying, no, or forcing his or her views already. And we keep on asking questions, no, to draw them out. But we are also very willing, no, to give our position. And then we also tell them, anak, we can agree to disagree, no? But we never force our kids, no, to agree to what we to our own opinions, no? So lastly, ito. Kids will most likely show respect if their parents show respect. They listen, they allow them to speak, no? So they will respect when you show respect. Or they will show respect when you show them respect.
Salamat.
What I'm seeing is a two-way street. Basically, it's a responsibility of the child, but it's also responsibility of the parents at home.
Ako siguro, balikan ko yung question kung paano tayo nag-umpisa, no? As a way to maybe to wrap up my thoughts on this. Yung tinanong niyo na sinabihan na ba kayo na huwag kayong makisali sa mga diskusyon ng nakakatanda, sa usapin ng nakakatanda. Balikan ko yun at siguro I'll turn it on its head, no? Because when we talk about, being aware, we talk about certain truths, no, certain values that are important to us as Christians, no. Wala sa edad kasi yun 'di ba? And
True.
I recall, 'di ba, if you're a kid, 'di ba, and you're playing a game, and then someone changes the rules, ano yung unang reaction mo? Ang daya mo binago mo
Yes.
'di ba? So that's a 5-year-old kid, that's a 6-year-old kid learning fairness, right? Learning that it's wrong to change the rules in the middle of the game. After nag-usap tayo na ganito yung rule, tapos papalitan mo, ang daya mo yun yung unang reaction, di ba? Hindi naman sa mali ka, tama ka, ang daya mo, you're not fair. So, fairness is not a matter of age. No? Knowing what is fair is not a matter of age. Knowing what is just is not a matter of age, because when a young child learns early on that, if she or he does something wrong, no, then something will happen, no? And that if she or he does something right, then something will happen. Then ma-realize niya that I get what I deserve, right? So I will have to work for this, because if I don't work for this, then hindi mangyayari yan, di ba? And so all of those values, all of those truths, no, we learn from an early age. So baka maganda rin tanungin, no, na based on what I've also heard Ces mention about how they're raising their 3 boys, no, na dapat bang magtanong din yung nakakatanda sa mas nakakabata? no? Kung ano yung nalalaman nila about these values, no? And how they are arriving at those values, no? Because again, I think these values are not a matter of age, no? I would say they're actually timeless, no? Fairness never gets old, no? Justice never gets
Ah.
old. Truth never gets old, no? It's not a
Yes.
matter of age. So kahit na 2 years old ka hanggang sa maging 99 years old ka, ganun pa rin naman ang fairness eh. Ganun pa rin naman yung
Mm.
justice, ganun pa rin yung truth, no? Hindi nagbabago yan eh. So in maybe in trying to maybe cope, no? Maybe trying to address, no, what's happening in this increasingly aware, no, or woke culture, we also need to realize that eh. And so yes, parents also need to learn how to address their kids, no? Kids also need to learn how to address their parents, no? But I siguro I go back to what I said earlier, and no, what Ces also emphasized, no? Sa sa bahay talaga una nangyayari lahat, no? And I resonate exactly with what Ces mentioned, that uh, kids will learn respect if they feel that they are also respected, no. I don't have a family, I don't have kids of my own, but I was raised in a family where we were taught to read a lot, no, as in anything we wanted to read, anything from the great classics to comic books. And we were never taught, wag mong basahin yan kasi mali. But we were always taught to ask questions. Bakit
Ah.
ganito to? No, ito yung nabasa ko. Bakit ganito to? I learned very early on that my opinion was worth something because my parents showed me that my opinion was worth something. And if they disagreed with what I said, no, then they would tell me why they disagreed. That kasi hindi mo naintindihan yung nabasa mo, tingnan mo 'to, baka mas maganda kung basahin mo uli 'to, 'no? And then I would find out that, okay, tama nga naman sila, 'no? And so
Mm.
so I think that's how it starts, eh. That's really how it starts, no? We shouldn't be, maybe we shouldn't be so concerned about the label of being woke, but we should be more concerned that our children have our families, we all have the capability of finding out what is true from among the many things that we'll be reading, and being able to express that truth and standing by the truth. Maybe that's the more important value.
Salamat, Attorney Ted. Grabe, napaka-rich ng experience at wisdom ng ating guests today. FRC fam, if you're still with us, feel free to comment kung ano yung mga nag-resonate sa inyo na mga takeaways also from our episode. Ako, I can unpack. I think we can go on and on with this topic and
Yes.
magko-continue yung richness no na naririnig natin. Una sa lahat, like, actually, na-excite ako ma-witness kung anong itsura ng mga dinner table conversations sa household nila, Miss Ces.
I know.
Oo.
Pwede sumali.
We'll invite you one time.
Ayun, sige po. Pag ano, nakaluwag-luwag na rin for ano. So, ako siguro, just going back to the things that our guests mentioned, very, very insightful. Like ako, I'm inspired hearing from our guests. Two main things that resonated with me. One is the power of the question, what do you think? That opens a lot of conversations, a
Yes.
lot of information, and exchange, especially within our families, from parents to their children. Yun yung narinig ko na experience nila Mrs. And ni Attorney Ted na may book reports kapag summer.
I know.
Sounds exciting. I think depends on who you ask.
Depends, yes.
But that kind of openness in just being able to share what you think, especially among your family, I think that really plays a big part in honing how you stand up for the truth. And then last is, na-emphasize na rin naman ng ating guests a lot of times, but just to emphasize it again, how different the need to appear woke is from actually being woke. And I think yun yung question na dapat tinatanong natin, especially as youth today. Palagi nating pinapairal sa isip natin, like, am I standing up for this because I really firmly believe, or like, I want a principled approach na it's important that my truth is heard? Or am I just doing this because ito yung itsura ko, ito yung um, image ko sa social media. Dapat ito yung mga opinions na kinababagayan ko without any like real substance in there. So yun, I think yun yung sa akin. Ikaw, Chai.
Grabe, no? Kasi sobrang, like what you said, ang rich ng
Ang
conversation.
dami, no?
Yeah, pero grabe na, like natutuwa akong marinig kasi there are different, syempre different experiences kay Atty. Different experience din para kay Mrs. No? Pero
Yes,
it collides eh. In some ways, it does. Like, it's interesting. And to me, yung una ko talagang nakuha from today is how you should be woke responsive. Like, you should be woke responsive. As in, kasi nagiging two-way siya. You go out in the world, you open yourself into this wide range of information. You go on TikTok, you go anywhere. Ang dami mong
Yes.
makukuha. Even like a hashtag, di ba? Sometimes you get curious, ano yung hashtag na to? And then, oh, meron na palang pinaglalaban yung hashtag na yun. You don't even know, you use it or whatever, right?
That's true.
And then, yung parang gusto mo maging influencer. Pero ba't mo ba gusto maging influencer? Like, to really cause impact? Or it's more of like a selfish thing to boost your ego or for income? Diba? You go back to your purpose. So nakakatuwa na parang there's really a lot of responsibility when it comes to having that access to information. Where
Yes.
being woke comes from, diba? But at the end of the day, what strengthens that being woke is your foundation in your house. With your parents, with your siblings, the family, the people that surrounds you. Parang it's also crucial. Kasi having that good foundation, para magiging, in effect, magiging responsible ka, hindi woke. And then you gain a better understanding of people. And parang having that good foundation also kasi, yun din yung nagpapaintindi ng mga tao sa'yo. Kasi, dito siya nanggagaling, ganito siya kasi ganyan. So, parang it goes well together talaga yung parang sense of self mo and your family. And then I like how yung wokeness, #woke, na nagiging expression lang siya, which you say loosely, right? Like ako, sinasabi ko sa sister ko, minsan pang asar pa, ang woke mo naman, di ba?
Oh.
Pero sobrang laki niyang thing na madami tayong matututunan, na madaming pwede magdala sa atin to change, which is really nice na we're more aware of it also. So, thank you so much, Mrs. and Atty. Tete, for
Thank you
joining
so
us
much.
today. Kasi I'm pretty sure FRC fam, you are very much enlightened and you enjoyed our discourse, I must say, because, diba?
Yes. I hope you're all okay with the things that you have received from this episode. So maraming salamat po ulit, Mrs. and Atty. Ted, for the richness of insights and exchanges.
Sana di kayo magsawa, pwede pa namin kayo ma-invite ulit.
Sure. Thank you,
Sure.
Rap and Chai. Thank you.
Salamat,
Thank you.
Rap. Salamat,
Thank
Chai.
you.
Salamat po.
And thank you to our FRC fam for catching this episode again. So next month, huwag kayong magsasawa. Samahan niyo pa rin kami. And this is Chai.
And Rap, who leave you with the wise words of Venerable Patrick Peyton that
The family that prays together stays together.
in a world at prayer is a world at peace.
Bye!
See you. Stay woke.